It's the second Sunday in the month, and we're starting going through the first 4 chapters of the Science of Mind. And it looks worse than it is, actually. That much is concordance. So it's really just that much. But we're not really, anyway. So, written by Ernest Holmes, who is the founder of Science of Mind, religious science. And he's a great synthesizer because he studied as many spiritual traditions as he could find, and he saw the commonalities in them. And then he wove them together and came up with our spiritual tradition. And he wrote this book in 1938. So it's been around a long time. And it's basically new thought, ancient wisdom. So it's like some of these ideas, they go way, 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 way back. And that's what's cool about it, because then it's a spiritual truth. And, it goes along with our theme, because we want to be living spiritual lives this year and always. But spiritual living is our theme for the month, and then living our spiritual values, of course, is the theme for the year. I liked this, and I'd forgotten about it, but that Science of Mind is the science of spiritual psychology. So it's really, to me, it's how I tick. And knowing how I tick, I can do something about it. I can shift stuff when it doesn't work for me. And Ernest Holmes tells us the study of the science of mind is a study of first cause, spirit, mind, or that invisible essence and that ultimate stuff and intelligence from which everything comes, the power back of creation. So all of us are infinitely creative because we are one with spirit. We are from the divine. And just knowing that makes us so much more powerful. And the more skillful we can be in remembering that and using those tools, then we co-create our lives, which are extraordinary. So the thing itself is what we're talking about. And the thing itself has so many different names. It has spirit, God, universal mind, mother, father, creative principle, essence, divine intelligence, Yahweh. You can call it. I had a wonderful teacher. He's married to Dr. Margaret Stortz, and he called God Papa. And he would always say, Papa, send me some more of what he liked, obviously. So you can call Supreme Being whatever label you like. And if the God label freaks you out, don't use it. It's real simple. Don't use the ones that don't serve you. But the thing is we can't prove. Can you prove God? A couple weeks ago, I shared with you 2 twins talking in the womb, and one of them had faith and one of them didn't. And you get to listen to the rain. Wow. Sorry. Nature intrudes. That's not true. Nature's here. Can we just listen to the rain instead? Anyway, the first sentence of the textbook is that we all look forward to the day when science and religion, parenthesis, spirituality, shall walk hand in hand through the visible and the invisible. And these words were written in 1938. And science has made leaps and bounds since then. And we know more about the quantum field and everything that we are. You and I are all the same stuff. We're at the subnuclear level. And so it's just such a powerful thing to know that we truly are interconnected, we truly are one. My thoughts impact the field of being, and then you're part of that field of being. So if you choose, that impacts your life too. Which is why when a practitioner or someone doing treatment with you knows the truth for you, they're not messing with you. they're knowing in the infinite that all is well with you. And then if there's a shift in consciousness within you, then there's a healing. So it's a divine principle in action that we can't see. So we need to have the faith, the knowing. It's like electricity, magnetism, gravity. We all live with these things. We know they're there because we can see the results of them in the world. But they're principles that are not visible to us. And they work for everybody. So it's not like I have gravity and somebody else does. Like my sister. My sister doesn't have gravity and I have gravity. And I'm getting old and gravity's taking over. It works for everybody. It works for everybody. Anyway. So the thing is, it's like, gotta laugh at it. Anyway, so God doesn't play favorites. And as Reverend Lanny reminded us last week, if you mix colors, if you take blue and red, you're going to get purple if you mix them together. And if you take the yellow and the red, you're going to get orange. And that works for everybody. There's nobody that's like handicapped in that area. It always works. It always, always works. And so if we can understand those principles, the spiritual laws, if you will, then we know we can do stuff because God is working in and through us. So God can work through me, and if something's happening in my life that I don't care for, then I can shift it. And I don't do it alone. I do it with other, that evidence of things unseen. I have the faith that God is there with me. That divine presence is in and through me in each and every moment. And I trust it. I rely on it. I know that it's there. I can trust and know that no matter what happens, Spirit is working through me for my highest good, even if I think what's happening is totally wrong. Like one time I was laid off from a job. And I thought that was the worst thing that could ever happen. Now, the fact that I'd already prayed for it to happen didn't enter into it. So I worked in downtown San Francisco, and I lived in Walnut Creek. So I would get on the BART train to go to work every day. And one of my mantras was, if they give me money, I will go away. And they gave me money. And I was upset that they told me to go away. Now, looking back, that was like the best thing that ever happened to me. I took a year off work. I met my husband on a deeper level, all this great stuff. But at the time, I thought it was, anyway, we don't need to go deeply into that. But, I trust now that even if something doesn't look right, it is for my highest best, and something's good's gonna come out of it. And trust is so key, and it's built up over time. So it's almost like you can do little experiments, and then you build up that muscle of trust. I was struck by trust really strongly on Friday because I was driving to an art class down in Auburn, and I was going down the street by Placer High School, and Placer High School is on two different sides of a kind of busy street, and it had two stop signs and stuff. Well, I happened to hit it right at class, the class periods were changing. So all the kids were walking across the street, the high school kids, they don't care. Yeah, they're just walking across it. And I'm in a big car, and I'm like inching my way through. Those guys trusted me. They trusted me big time. And in this day and age, I was really struck by that. Because here's this big car going through this crowd of kids. But there was that trust, that knowing that everything was going to be okay. So we need to learn to trust the universe. And when we do that, we're healthy, we're prosperous, we have peace of mind, we're doing well. Because we trust. Now, the other piece of it is we all live in a risky world. It was risky for you to get out of bed this morning. You could have stepped on a dog. You could have stepped on your slipper. It's like, what's the level of the risk? I could have stepped on a cat. I don't know. Or if you have children, you could have stepped on a Lego. That really hurts. But the thing is it just getting out of bed, you're taking a risk. Driving your car, you're taking a risk, and you're trusting all the other people that they know how to drive their car. That's why I don't drive when it's snowing, unless I absolutely have to, because I don't trust those people. I shouldn't have said that. Oh well. Anyway, but the thing is, do you get what it's like, how big is your trust? How big is the box that you live in? Because if you're risk averse, your box is going to be little. But if you're willing to go for it, and it's like, well, what, God is with me. Spirit is looking out for me. I know that it's going to be okay. I know at some level it's handled. I don't have to fret. I don't have to worry about it. That's why with the practitioners, if you leave that concern, that angst on the prayer request, you don't have to carry it. It's going to be handled. It's going to be taken care of. One way or the other, it's going to work out fine. Because even if it doesn't turn out the way you think it should, down the road, you'll look back and go, oh, that's why that went that way, so that I could meet so-and-so, that I could do this, So whichever route you take, you're going to turn golden because you're in charge with Spirit, the principle, the divine creative process. So I have a friend who is a minister. She's up in Canada now. And she wrote a book called Giving God a Good Time. So giving God a good time is you taking risk, going, experimenting, doing stuff that's fun, creative, and perhaps new for you that you're not used to. So one of the things that I did in the early 90s was something that scared me really big. And a friend of mine who later became a practitioner with me talked me into this. So watch out for your friends. So it was down near Gilroy, I'm not sure, maybe Hollister, I'm not sure exactly where it was. But we all went down there one Saturday morning, and we walked in and we went into class, and the guy was explaining how they strap you onto another guy, and then you jump out of an airplane. So we were doing tandem skydiving. No, not going to do that, never. Okay, well, I did not tell my mother before I did it. I waited. But the thing is so we got trained, and there we were up at 10,000 feet, and we're standing at the door of the airplane, because the airplane had no doors. I was like, oh, God. Now, the guy behind me knew what he was doing. I was so scared. Oh, my God. I had no idea what was going to happen. It's like, I don't know. I guess I said I would do it, so I said I was going to do it. That's probably not. And then my friend who got me into it bailed. She didn't do it. It's like, what? Because they put you in the little suit, and then you get your helmet, and so I jumped out of the plane. I didn't actually. The guy pushed me. Well, he was attached to my back, so I could see that there was nothing there, and he was used to this, so we went out. And then, of course, you free fall for quite a long way. It seemed like a long way. It was kind of cool. The wind it's really loud. And then he popped the chute, which turned out to be a brand new chute, which means it pops harder. So we were jerked way high up into the sky. So my arms are like, oh my God, I got a major pain. But it's like I was also in the middle of the air. And so then we kept going. And I trusted that guy. Talk about trust. I trusted the guys who trained me. I trusted the pilot. I trusted the guy strapped to my back, that he would know how to land. I trusted the parachute person, whoever packed the parachute. Talk about trust. Well, I didn't think about it that way, but that's what I was doing. I was trusting. I was going outside of the box. I was knowing that Spirit was on the job with me in that moment, and that everything would be fine. So I had faith. And I probably did a lot of praying. I probably prayed that anything that happened that I would be physically healed. I was perfectly fine. I couldn't find the video. I looked for the video last night and I couldn't find it. I know there's a video of it. Like, it would probably be pretty funny. But the thing is you can do anything that you put your mind to, because the thing itself, God, is within you. It's always with you. And it's causation. It's that power, that creative power in the universe. And there's two parts to it. Excuse me. There's the conscious part of us, and then there's the subconscious part of us, the part that we don't know about so much. It pops up once in a while, but we don't know about it so much. And it's very powerful because that's the creative factor. That's where we've let go of control. We're not trying to say, this is what it needs to look like, and this is how it has to happen, and that kind of stuff. So it was interesting that Robert mentioned cats this morning, because I looked up, and 8 years ago, a little over 8 years ago, I lost my kitty, Thomasina, and she'd been with me for 18 years, so I was devastated. I was a mess, actually, and that had happened late in the year. And then in 2009, I decided that Gary and I were going to have 2 little kitties. They'd both be females, and they'd be sisters. So people told me, and I'm assuming this is true, that this time of year is not the prime time for cats. It's more in the spring than it is in the winter. But I put that into my conscious mind. And how many of you know the symbol, the symbol that's up here on the wall, what that's about? Okay. So it's all one mind. It's all one thing. But the very top section, that's spirit. So this is so we can talk about it, because we're talking about something that's invisible. So spirit's up there. So I had this idea of having my kitties. And I knew that was going to happen. Now, I didn't know how. The how is in that middle part. That's the subconscious. That's the law. That's where infinite mind comes in as well, because that's where I don't have control over it. I don't know what's going to happen. And then the bottom section is form or body, and that's where we are. And that V is where spirit comes down into body. It's the creative process in a symbol. So Missy and Zoe showed up 8 years ago this month. And so love showed up. Joy showed up. Hairballs showed up. All of it showed up. The thing is that that's the creative process. You're creating that. And it's always works. Now, if I had not found them, I would have found even better kitties, which is hard for me to believe now. Because the other piece of when I do a treatment, it's always this or something better. Because it's how much can I embrace? How much can I realize in my mind? What, because I think, oh, this would make me really happy, and I'd be really happy with that. And God may say, no, you should have this. So I don't want to put any limits on it. And if you say, well, the car has to be green, it has to have or whatever it is. Or it can be a feeling. My joy in this friendship needs to look like this. I need someone to go dancing with. Well, wait a second. What if somebody else comes in who dances and does all this other stuff? Yay. Thank you, God. You've sent somebody that is just embracing that. And there's just so many different examples. And you have those examples in your house, too, in your life. When something you really wanted showed up. Now, sometimes we have to do the one thing I'm not really good at. And that is to be patient. Sometimes it shows up later than you think. Sometimes it's shown up really quickly and you don't see it. You don't recognize it because it doesn't have exactly what you expected. But It's always showing up because your mind is infinitely creative. You are always using this creative process. And so the universal mind doesn't have any limits. So we don't have any limits either, except as we put them on ourselves. As we say, okay, I don't get how it's going to, okay, here's one that's really hot. I don't get how the earth is going to be healed. But that's not my job. My job is to know that the earth is healed. All I know is that the earth is healed. That's what I pray for. The how shows up in infinite ways that are not in my control. I have to trust that Spirit is always working in and through me and everyone else. And when I have that, I have peace of mind. I have that inner knowing that everything is going to work out. Now, do I ever worry? Yes. Do I realize when I'm worrying that I'm wasting my time and my energy and resources? Eventually. But that's the bottom. And my life is really cool. I have a cool life. I love it. Gary and I have fun together. We go great places. We have wonderful friends. And I'm blessed. But I remember the creative principle. And I know that science is catching up to prove it. But I trust. I have faith. I take risks when I think I can survive. I did skydive one more time because I wanted to be more present. Because the first time I was so much in reaction. So I did it one more time to be present, to really experience it. And now I don't do it anymore. Twice is enough. So that's the thing that makes it. It's so cool. Yeah, we're going to let it go with that. And I want you to know that next week, Reverend Lanny is going to be talking about the way it works. So these teachings are so powerful and so awesome that I just, anyway, obviously I became a minister. What do you think I didn't? Yeah, anyway, I got committed. So our affirmation for this day is in the bulletin. I'm not sure what page it's on, maybe the third page. But if you could repeat after me. God is always in, through, and around 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 me. And so it is.